Gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go.
Welcome to US Rugby Happy Hour Live. Interviews with the biggest names in American rugby.
The New England Free Jacks, Major League Rugby champions. One-on-one to score.
Here are your hosts, Bill Baker and that other guy.
Well, this is interesting. We're having some fun with this, and I lost my co-host, but I am here right now, and I'm Bill Baker from Eagle Services, by the way. We're trying to go live, and I might just stop this. But we're not. I'm going to keep streaming because I think my co-host is ready to join me. I did a weird thing. Oh, there he is. And there he is. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I'm the other guy.
So we are actually live on I hit the wrong button and it started the whole show. But we're on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter right now. And I don't know, for some reason I can't get Instagram Live to go, which is the reason why we're doing this. So we'll have some fun with this for now. I'm not sure why it's doing that, but I might just restart that part of it. But anyway, at least we're on 3 other platforms. I do see us on YouTube. I do see us on Facebook, I believe. But you missed like the very beginning, Fitzy. I got to play the very beginning of this show. Okay. Did you hear
I heard it.
There?
I heard it. It was hilarious. It was great.
Did you see the whole thing?
I saw the whole entire thing. It was awesome.
Oh, thank you. Did you hear the VO though of actually open? Did you hear that? Like the last part?
Heard the whole thing. I'm the other guy.
Okay, good. we can change that. It's not a big deal.
I think it's hilarious.
We can work on it. So this is for any of you guys who are tuning in right now. If there is anyone tuning in, I know this is a soft launch of season 4 of US Rugby Happy Hour Live. I almost forgot the name of the show, Fitzy, which is weird. So we're trying this on this new platform. We're all video now, so you all get to see mine and John Fitzpatrick's of Rugby Morning's faces, our beautiful faces, and
sorry
whatever shirt we want to wear, and all that stuff. So so now not only do you hear our beautiful voices, now you get to see our beautiful faces and hats and unshaved beards and whatever.
Bill, I didn't take a shower yet today, so I apologize.
Well, it's in smell-o-vision. We're good. But so we're kicking it off with this. We're just going to have some fun right now. We are going to talk about this past year through US Rugby Happy Hour Live, also Major League Rugby, USA Rugby, whatever. We're not going to get into a ton. Again, we're kicking this. It's a soft launch. We didn't advertise this, so if you're catching it online, thank you for coming in and joining us. And then we want to talk a little bit about the future in 2024 and just kind of go back and forth. Now, if you are tuned in right now, there is a link, and I'll get that. This is all the stuff I'm trying to figure out here. There is a way, okay, if you want to go to eaglesoverseas.com/live, there's a link on there where you can join us live here as like we are in moving pictures, and we'll get you on the show. Now, this is totally new for us also, so forgive us if I mess it up. But there it is, eaglesoverseas.com/live. Remember, be kind. We're just here to have some fun right now. So hope to hear you, or drop a comment in YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter, and maybe Instagram. I don't think that's working. Anyway, Fitzy, good to see you. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I gotta say, I like all this increased production value. This is pretty cool.
Yeah, I like it too. I think we need to we'll get a picture up there behind you.
Yeah,
get a little up there.
Don't mind this is my mess room back at the house. Everything just gets thrown back here, and I have a desk back here, so I can do this somewhat quietly.
Yeah, well, I have this hole in the basement, and the set behind me is left over from when I was doing the Eagle Eyed Rugby podcast.
It looks good.
Thank you. I got some nice mementos in there.
I like the bistro lights hanging there. That's nice.
Yeah. Thank you. I was getting I stole that from Conan O'Brien when he had his podcast during COVID. he had kind of lighting and stuff in the way background, so I was paying attention. A neat thing though, a Rugby Imports followed me on
Same this morning.
yeah, right. And what cracks me up about that is right there is the very first ball I ever bought, like back in 1990. And it is a Rugby Imports ball. The thing is solid. You can't do. I can't. I'm going to fall over. Forget it. But you can't bounce it.
Just
It
don't
would
hurt
probably
yourself.
chip a tooth if you tried, biting it. Excuse me. But yeah, so we got it going. I mean, we got to. This is going to be fun. Yeah. Anyway, so let's jump into it. We've got last year to talk about. Like I said, we just had that new open. Honestly, I think we need to show everybody our old open, or at least part
Please.
of
Yeah.
it. Okay,
Good.
like this right here.
Welcome to the show where the stars come to
That is
glow.
gold.
US Rugby in the house, ready to put on a show.
Actually, my part.
Bill and John, the dynamic duo, talking to the mic, bringing you the biggest names, shining bright like a light.
Why are you showing off your muscles and I got to stay covered up?
Well, I think looks like I'm in prison.
I like your
And you're-
tattoo.
And you're the rock star.
Well, I mean, clearly. I mean, obviously. Even though you actually are the rock star, the lead singer of a band.
Well, when you
just
get
play
as
one on
cool as me,
Twitter.
you don't have to be always doing the stuff, right? You just sit back there and let someone like you run with it.
Basically.
And be cool with it, right?
Mick Jagger.
Anyway, so if you guys would listen to us, or whoever's online right now tuning in, just to recap, last season 3 of US Rugby Happy Hour Live was probably our best yet, despite not being nominated for a podcast award. Anyway, I think it's rigged. With that said, Fitzy and I did 35 live shows, 70 podcast episodes altogether, including some of the best ofs, which we're going to talk about in a minute. 68 guests from around the globe, and over 27 or 25,000 listens online. That's between podcasts, live views, or listens when we used to be on Twitter Spaces. And that's the thing also. We're not on Twitter Spaces anymore, which I'm really happy about. So with that said, Fitzy, we did some best of episodes, and I want to talk about those and play some video clips from that also.
Yeah.
But those episodes are obviously, and you saw them, we all saw them. Scott Lawrence recently, Ryan Mattias and Dina Waldron, who is it? Rachel Johnson and Mata Hingano, and then Alana Marr. And we thought those were really good. They were funny. They were informative, especially Scott Lawrence, less funny, but really informative about this past year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So on top of those, Fitzy, I mean, what do you think with those episodes? Were there others also that you remembered? Like, yeah, those are good ones.
I mean, I've got this awesome poster, and you can see it behind you as well, where you printed off quite a few of the different guests. I'll just show it to you on screen right quick. This one here. I mean, I was going through this, an impressive number of people that we talked with and talked Major League Rugby, USA Rugby. I mean, when we had Amanda Windsor-White on, just a couple of days after Rugby ATL had their rebrand, a lot of people were very interested in that, for obvious reasons. That was fun. Having Greg Peterson on, that was a good one. Mike Friday jumps on. Kate Zachary's been on the show a couple of times. Always enjoy hearing from Alex Goff and Brian Ray and Jackie Finland, just covering all the different aspects of rugby here in the U.S. and overseas. That Gabby Cantorner, I see Michael Young from the USRPA. I mean, I'm just going down the list here. It was a really good year, and a really interesting and a diverse cast of characters who lent their time with us. Yeah,
no doubt. And I remember early on when Scott Lawrence, let's talk about Scott Lawrence's best of.
Yeah.
Early on, he talked about, what do you talk about? He mentioned, we asked him about games in 2024. You remember this? And I think he said 13 or 14 matches. And that was before, I don't think we've heard that yet, a number. And so that was exciting to hear. And then it was later in the year we started finding, okay, how is it going to happen? It's the Pacific Rim, it's whatever else. So that was really good to hear from Scott. And I love how he talks quite a bit. I mean, we talked about to him in this latest episode with him, the one we did a best of, it was shortly after winning the Vila International Cup. And so he had a chance to talk about the highs and lows of the season. I remember you asking him if to rate himself, which is always fun to do. What did he give himself, like a B plus? I think, I don't
Yeah,
know.
I think a B plus. Yeah.
Yeah, but he did talk about, the accomplishments, what kind of stuff did they succeed at? And of course I can't find that video, but I'll get it anyway. So actually I'll do it this way. Again, for those tuning in, we're whoa, I got a dog attacking somebody upstairs. We are taking this baby, this whole live streaming from Streamlabs for a ride today. So we're having some fun here, trying to figure this out, or at least I am. But
Well, Bill, as you try and
Yeah.
pull up that one video, the very first conversation we had with Scott Lawrence after he was named interim head coach, he kept talking about 0G rugby, and that phrase just like stood out in my mind because I wanted to learn a little bit more about what exactly 0G was all about. And I think what was interesting is that he's done a couple of things.
Right.
He's reestablishing that connection from past Eagles to current Eagles, right? Building that bond, forging that bond of what it means to put on, a USA jersey and represent your nation. So I thought that was really interesting. And he's used a bunch of different metaphors, right? And 0G and kind of NASA and going out into space and New Frontier and the adventures
Yep.
and the risks that you have to take with that. And 0G, I guess that concept, I'll paraphrase here a little bit. And we had Greg Peterson talk about it and Nate Osberger talk about it and Nate Brakeley talk about it, what it means to each of them, but essentially just like free flowing attacking rugby where it's instinctual and it's an aggressive and it's an open game. And that's music to my ears.
Yeah.
That's what I think we want to see. We want to see our boys and girls run with the ball. So, I've really latched onto that concept and hearing the different players talk about it and then kind of pinpointing specific instances where we've seen that on the field in the last few games. It's encouraging what is coming down the line, and I guess in the next couple of years.
Right. And we talked to him also about the players coming up this next year as well. I love that the new guys coming in. He even mentioned a few players who are playing overseas. I think Krim, who's playing, I forget which club he's playing for, but you talk about those guys who are making it up through the ranks. So it's great to see, talent coming in and actually starting to, show up. Well, not show up, but I mean, like turn heads, let's say, for this. So, I almost had it. I had a video almost. Oh, so hold off on that one. So I want to skip forward also, and I do want to get back to the Scott Lawrence tease as soon as it's ready, as soon as it's loaded. But I want to jump ahead to Ryan Mattias and Dino Waldron because that was just funny. I mean, those two have been on the show for a while, and no one loves the game more than Ryan Mattias does. I mean, we all love it. I love it. Fans love it. But he has such a great voice. When we talk to him, you get that sense, right? I mean, he's so, yeah, let's talk about the game and all this stuff. And Daddy, a new Daddy also. So him having on, and that episode that we showed the best of was so funny. And unfortunately, you weren't able to be there for that
No, I
episode.
know. That's why it was so good. Because I wasn't
No. But it was so good. And some of the nicknames, I mean, I don't know if you know some of the other nicknames they talked about. I mean, they went on for like 5 minutes, like both of those, like Mean Dean, Ryan the Lion. And I love it. We're talking about Cam Dolan.
like Old Man Greg.
Yeah, exactly. Or Mean Greg. And
I would never say that to him.
Right. No. But Cam Dolan had so many, like, I think it was like, they called it Cam Dolan Rummy. So when they played cards, it was always Cam Dolan always won. So they had different names for him. It was like, oh boy, like the Dolan rules or whatever else. So he never lost. Some funny ones in there, like Curry Dog by, for Tony Lamborn, Bobby Dice. Obviously we know Bryce Campbell, the Butcher's iconic.
Mm-hmm.
Dino is the Winnebago, which is great, which I think we can
good.
give to Chris Bauman. But but have you heard any other nicknames besides those that they were bringing up?
No, I'm trying to remember all of them. Some I don't think are safe for work. Others probably have a little bit of a backstory.
Yeah, it's true. All right, I'm going to back up. I got a video for Scott Lawrence, so take a listen to this. He's talking about a couple of points that he wanted to get across in the group throughout his first year.
Roll the tape.
I give up. Or did it go somewhere else? Oh, here we go. Let's try this.
Really what we wanted to do was just do a couple of things this year, and one was to establish the identity of the Eagles and the way that we wanted to operate the Eagles environment, and the second one was to kind of feed the pathways and begin the next generation. So look at the top of the Eagles, if you consider the men's national team as the top of the chain, and say, you know, let's make that something that's worth being a part of, and then let's start to put the vehicles in place. So, you know, when I look at the end of year tour, I believe that the team has found itself and its identity and its leadership core and the way in which we want to train and play and apply themselves within the sport. And then when you look at the Dom B-Sags or the potential of a Stefan Krimp from the 20s coming through into the senior Eagles towards the end of the year, you start to go, okay, you know, maybe we're making some progress towards those two things.
So yeah, so he mentions those players there. He made a good point. I like that. It's just he's starting to see progress with the young guys coming up.
I like what you did there. I like how you can have the video up and the audio. We can run 2 boxes to the side of it. Wow.
Well,
Bill,
if it works.
you've been busy in the off season.
Yeah, that whole thing of my actual job has been a problem. So with that said, let's go to the next one. We were just talking about Dino and Ryan. And again, the camaraderie between the two, it just cracks me up. And here's our conversation. You know, basically, I asked them about who would be like the alpha dog, you know, when they were on tour, and their response was really funny. Which one of you would be the first through the pub door, like kind of like an alpha dog kind of thing?
Dino, 1000%.
No.
He's dragging me in there.
If we're in Bucharest, Romania, maybe.
Ryan, let's talk about that game in Chicago. Just not necessarily the finals, but just like the presentation that MLR put on. And it was, you know, a little over 10,000 fans. That's nothing for you, Ryan, especially after that first game this past season in San Diego.
Oh,
What
do you guys have, 11,000 fans?
11,470, but who's
Counting.
Wow.
Oh, no big deal. It's all right. You know, the gold mine, we got ours going down there in the south. It's all good.
Those guys are actually obviously good friends, so it's good to hear them laughing it up. And again, if for those listening, out of all of them, tell you the truth, that was my favorite. It's not because Fitzy wasn't there. That was my favorite because those two were just so good together. But listen to it; they're so funny, and then we do talk about some serious stuff. You know, their post-career type stuff also. So it's awesome to listen to. Next one, Fitzy, was Rachel Johnson and Mata Hingano.
Yeah.
You remember that? That was during the WXV. What was your take on that interview?
That was fun. I just remember Hingano just being super excited because she, I think, had just gotten her first cap, if I recall correctly.
And player of the game against Wales, I think it was.
Yeah, and you know, similar to Dino and Ryan, just the camaraderie between teammates, right? And you know, they'd almost kind of finish sentences, and they had you know, inside stories and stuff. So all of that tells me that there's like a good culture there, right? That they enjoy playing with each other, that they back each other up out there on the field and off. So it was a fun conversation.
It was, and again, they were pretty funny back and forth too, and they were both 2 different stages, like you said. Mata just got her first 15s cap, and she's pretty known with the Sevens tour. But then we also asked her about, you know, who her mentors, I guess, on 15s are, and you know, and that turned to be that turned out to be pretty funny too, because you know she was really trying to figure out who to say, and you were saying Rachel. Say Rachel. So this is that bit. This is that bit right here. Matt, let's talk about your Eagles teammates. No pressure. Rachel's right next to you. Are there any? Are there any teammates that you can point out who have maybe acted kind of like mentors to you, or just have really been important for you to help you along the way?
Yeah, definitely our very own captain, Kate Zachary. As my 13, she's definitely helped me coming from like a 7s background majority of the time into like a 15s experience. Like she's helped me understand my role more, and I just feel like the rest I can't really point out, like,
Rachel.
but just mainly her. Right.
Rachel.
Rachel.
Say something nice about Rachel.
Her energy and just her presence on the field gets me going.
Yeah, I love the camaraderie. It's so funny, and I think they had a good time too. And by the way, they did like that open music that we used.
Yeah, I think they were flattering us, but yeah, I mean, yeah. I think that was the first time you had played it, right?
Yeah, it was beginning
Yeah.
of that show.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, only once or twice I've played it since. But all right, jumping forward, Alana Marr. That was our last best of. I liked her a lot because
Yeah.
she is a big name when it comes to USA Sevens rugby, and quite the social media influencer as well. So social media star. Yeah, she was great. I loved how she talks about maybe playing 15 soon. I mean, she played 15s in college, obviously, but to see her really wanting a chance to go and play overseas, possibly. Remember that?
Yes, the biggest thing I took away from that was this was right as she was starting to get back to trying to get in shape following her
Oh yeah, injury.
her injury, which was probably, I think she said, the biggest injury she's had. She hadn't really faced an injury like that before in her career. So, as a world class athlete, not me, her,
Yeah.
mentally, that's probably that's probably the hardest thing. I think she was talking about is just, all of a sudden it changes and you have to kind of get back. You have to adapt and just to
Yeah.
overcome those obstacles. And probably in the long run will make her a better player, right? Because as everyone who's played any sport knows, particularly rugby, you're going to get injured playing this sport, right? So now that you've gotten through an injury and come back, and now she's back at that world-class level again, it almost takes the fear out of, okay, what if happens if I get hurt again, so that you can go back out there and not worry in the back of your mind that I'm going to get hurt again, because I can get through this, I can get through that adversity again. So
Right.
yeah, it was a really interesting conversation with her. I think we had tried to get her a few times.
Oh, we were trying for a long time. I thought for a while that we weren't good enough for her. I did run into her at the MLR finals in Chicago, and she did say, maybe not in these words, but she did say that our show was her favorite ever. Maybe not in those words. So we got some sound from her show also. And I forget what this one is about. I'm glad you brought up 15s. Is that done?
No, I would love to. My goal is to at some time go play in the Premier League. So I think it would be super cool. But I'd love to play in the World Cup in 2025 in England. I think that is going to be another record-breaking event for the game for women. But I think beforehand I'd have to do a little bit of 15s training because I've kind of lost it all. I don't really see the game like I used to, but I do think if I were to, play against the best and really immerse myself in it, like with a Premier League team, I think it would really be cool for me.
Yeah, she was cool. She had a lot to say. I like to see her.
What an interesting 2 years this could be for her, right? Because you've got the Paris Olympics coming up this summer. I think the U.S. women are going to medal. I think they've got a really good shot at getting gold, silver, or bronze. But how cool would that be for Mara if she can earn her spot on the 15s? Because that means she would take a spot from someone. But if she can get a medal at the Olympics, jump into 15s to get trained and ready and make the women's Eagles for a spot at the 2025 Rugby World Cup, that would be pretty cool for her. That would be a neat story.
And she has the talent for it.
Yeah.
Right. And size, she's physical, and it's pretty cool. I like that idea. Let's jump forward. We talked about MLR a second ago. So let's talk about, just generally speaking, let's talk about MLR, and I want to talk about general stuff from last year, USA 15s, that kind of thing. So obviously there's some surprises in the season. For me, I was actually surprised to see the Free Jacks in the finals. Well, not in the finals, but to win it over San Diego. I thought for sure San Diego was the stronger team. But for Free Jacks to win it, I was surprised by it. Were there some other surprises for you in 2023 as far as how the season went?
Just on-field product?
Whatever.
Okay. I'll start with the on-field product. I mean, you can see we're both wearing, merchandise of our favorite clubs. I was pleasantly surprised by Old Glory DC. I figured they were going to have a better year than they had the year before, but to make the playoffs and then in their first playoff game, go up on the road and beat then New York, that was really cool and a lot to build off of. And I thought last season was an exciting season. We saw a number of big players, both domestic and international, have some really good seasons. I think the introduction of Chicago was great last year. They didn't have the record that they wanted, but great stadium there, good fan base, and it was exciting. And then we knew that, hey, Miami's coming in to the league. Excited about what we saw from them, it seems like there's a really strong rugby community down there in South Florida, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, a heavy Argentine influence, international influence, which is fantastic, right? this side of the world, the Southern Hemisphere, Northern Hemisphere, minus Europe and the Pacific, we need rugby to catch on here. So for Super Rugby Americas to perform well, that only is going to help Major League Rugby. So there were a lot of encouraging things given what happened the year before when we had, unfortunately, LA and Austin to fold. And I thought it was a great final between the San Diego Legion and the New England Free Jacks at a great venue there in Chicago. Went down to the wire, and hats off to both those clubs. The Legion, they had a fantastic season. The Free Jacks won like a record 13 straight or something like that. So on the field, everything was great. After the season, certainly we had some hiccups. If you want to, I'll give the mic back to you on that one.
Yeah, losing two teams like that, I wasn't completely surprised with Toronto. I was sad, obviously, but I wasn't completely surprised. But then New York, boom. And then you think more about it, you don't hear anything about them signing anybody in the offseason, really quiet. Heard some rumblings. I'm like, how can they be out? But that was sad to see go to it. I definitely think New York will have a team back sooner than later. Yeah. But I forget who mentioned it. I think it might have been Nick Savetta or somebody on our show that said that the only problem with New York is that it's not a sports town, which is hard to say. It's an entertainment town. And so you really need to put a product out there that's not just guys with a ball running around. And their home fields were, for a while there, on high school, one or two, where you and I know well, rugby and beer go together. So if we can't share a beer at a game, that's going to be tough. Besides that, the presentation put on by MLR for that final at a neutral site, I thought was a good idea. I really like that idea. Me being there to see that, the stadium wasn't full, but the one side of the field that really had the most fans wasn't shown as much because of where the cameras were. Yeah, which I would love to be able to do if they can do the camera platforms differently next time to show more fans. That'd be cool. But yeah, I think it just ended up in a good place. I mentioned this before, and I'm actually going to show a video here that I put together of my trip there at the MLR finals. And you'll see I ran into a bunch of these players, mostly, some of the Free Jacks, but most of the San Diego Legion players who have been on our show or previous shows, like Marcel Brocchi, Ryan Mattias, Will Hooley was a friend of the show. So you can tell even their excitement, going on the field you can see how big it was for the league and for these guys. And speaking of that, I did see Corbs, Alex Corbacero, and I was trying to run into say hello to him, but the look on his face was, don't fucking talk to me about a podcast.
Yeah.
So I went the other direction towards I think Poland or somebody from the Free Jacks.
It's a smart decision.
Yeah. Anyway, here's that video. It's a couple minutes long. Enjoy. On the way out on Terminal whatever B was, all the Patriots and Celtics and like the lacrosse team and all that.
We gotta get it.
Was like right there, banner. You gotta get it.
You gotta get it.
It was a tough battle out there, It could have gone either way. And we planned for it to be like that, It was never going to be an easy game or not. So both teams used to win well, and just happy.
It's tough to process, you put in a lot of hard work like every other team, and you just continue to just have to grind out each week and you just come up short. So I think pride is one of those things that, gets easily thrown around. I think it goes without saying how proud we are of each other, and the pride will really show us we need to get back up and get back on the horse.
Go back, man. I know, man. I know.
Never have to do that.
I've said to 5 people tonight today already.
I don't know who you are.
We know him in person, man.
Wow.
Sorry, buddy.
Hey.
I don't know if I was in more pain, whether it was my hamstring or whether it was just my heart, but hey, it's sport. I gave everything today and the team gave everything. I said that maybe a couple of things we didn't quite get right at key moments. As a winner and a loser, isn't there, Bill? Yeah. Stating the obvious, but not for us.
Yeah, I hope this result doesn't reflect on what an awesome career this gentleman's had, what a career like Ryan Mattis has had. You know, the impact that those guys have go beyond the 80 minutes, go beyond a season. You know, they impact the next generation. It's ultimately what's going to put a competitive team in 2031 and 2033 for us in the United States. So to those guys, you know, we just thank them for their service, you know, beyond this season. So unfortunately we couldn't send them off with a victory, but hopefully we send them off knowing that their legacy is intact, and we will continue to take that into next season and beyond that.
Well, we have a song that many championship teams have used in their celebrations. And we're happy now to add another one to the ranks, baby! I'm shipping up to Boston! I'm shipping up to Boston!
I've only been in the league now for 2 years, and I've seen it transcend into something bigger and better every time. Next thing, we'll be back somewhere like this and it'll be full, you know, and we'll have, probably DJ and Shaq will come again. But look, it's a special day for American rugby, and I just hope now we can build this as a country, but as North American rugby, just, it's a successful day for sure.
All right. And we're back.
I don't think I saw that video in its entirety. That was pretty good. Yeah.
I'm a little upset at you right now. Thank you. Yeah, it was a fun day. And you heard like from Hooli and Marcy. And I try to get the people who have been on the show and stuff. So it wasn't really, I was trying not to be geared towards one team, but definitely a more Legion interviews. But yeah, you can definitely hear what they love about it, and what, hopefully I don't get shut down for copyright issues playing some of the Dropkick Murphy song.
Yeah, well, that's all right. I was going to comment on that. Guys like Will Hooley and Marcel Baraki and Ryan Mattias, they've played in a number of big games. Whether it's in MLR or international representing the men's Eagles, and you could tell how much they cared. Right, that it wasn't just another game. Coming up short after the season that they had, it was cool and refreshing to hear the emotion, right? Because it meant so much to them, even still after such a long and successful career. Little old MLR still chumming along, they're churning along there. That final in Chicago still meant so much to them, even though they came up just a little short.
Yeah, and then looking forward to 2024, finals will be in San Diego, right? Is that what I said? Yeah.
It's like 99% confirmed, but yeah.
It's a nice facility. It's gonna be warm weather, obviously. Well, July or August is gonna be warm pretty much everywhere. But my only worry about that is, to fly to Chicago is easy for anywhere in the United States and relatively inexpensive. I don't know how much it is to get to San Diego, but I did price flights to LA for the LA Sevens and opening weekend, and that was only like $260 from Boston round trip, which is great.
That's pretty good. Yeah, that's really good.
I know. So, but I didn't pull the trigger, thankfully, because who knows what the schedule is going to look like once the Hawks come out.
Well, that schedule hopefully comes out. I think it'll probably come out early next week, and I don't know how much longer they can wait. So
yeah, and we'll use that as our patented transition, our segue into 2024. Yeah. Charlotte Hawks are apparently coming out. We've reached out to USA Rugby about getting Scott Lawrence, whoever else, to talk about the team, but they're not in a place to talk about it just yet. Soon, maybe next week for our very first show. Also, I should have mentioned this. Our first show of the season, other than this, is next Wednesday and we'll let you know the guests as soon as we know. And we got some names lined
up. We
up.
don't have one yet.
It might be us two again. So talk about what you know about the Hawks.
Whew. Which one, the rugby league team or the union?
Atlanta Hawks. No.
The Atlanta Hawks. Yeah, exactly. I think the concept, the idea of introducing the Charlotte Hawks into Major League Rugby is such a fun idea. It's such a neat idea, even if the execution of it wasn't the smoothest, right? Sounds like conversations were going on for a while, and then unfortunately, MLR did put out a season schedule, and then World Rugby was like, "Hey, actually, we'll fund this. Let's help this out." And okay, so the schedule's got to be tweaked, and unfortunately, there may have been some folks who have booked some travel, and obviously that stinks for them. But taking a step back in the grand scheme of things, like I think this is what MLR, yes, it's a startup league where each individual club and wants to win a championship, but part of it too is also, hey, how can we try and develop American talent for the men's Eagle? And I think this Charlotte Hawks team will accomplish that. So I'm excited to see how this team performs. And we've seen some preliminary lists of who is on it, and we'll probably get more details about it. But I'm excited for it. I think it's nothing but good things. And there's so many more questions, like the long term, like is it going to be self-sustaining, like after the 27 and 31 Rugby World Cup? Hopefully MLR is still around then. Like, is someone else going to come in and take over the team? And all those questions can be answered in due time. But after the last 2 years with Major League Rugby and some growing pains and men's Eagles not making the World Cup, this is an exciting development. So I'm all for it.
Yeah, I'm pumped too. There's going to be a lot of players. I know what I've read so far. The Free Jacks have sent over Ivan Pula,
Yep,
I believe, and then also Nola sent over Cale Hodgson. I mean, I think that's a good move for those two players, because you look at Ivan, at least with the Free Jacks, he's not playing, so at least they'll still get him playing time.
Yeah,
right. I just had a conversation with a soccer coach actually, who I'm going to be coaching with next fall. And we had that conversation about swing players, stuff like that. The players on the varsity side who are going to sit on the bench, and they never will get better that way. You can train, but you're not playing games. You're not going to improve that much. So I like the idea of this. And who knows, we might see some overseas players come back for this. Nafi Maafu, who, I don't know if you noticed, is getting his first minutes with Biarritz. I don't know how to say that.
I saw you posted about that. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad you're paying attention. But it's he's getting his first minutes since last season, and he's had injury issues. So, and he has one more year in his contract, but I'm wondering if maybe this may draw him back to the States, where he will play for a team like Charlotte.
Yeah.
But hopefully in a situation where he can stay healthy. I don't know if it has anything to do with the situation now. Probably doesn't. He just has been injured.
Yeah.
But it'll be good to see that come back. I am excited about the Charlotte Hawks. I don't see them winning a game this season, but hopefully competitive,
And look, so maybe they go 0-16 this year, and that's fine. But if they could show progress and growth and build towards something in the year after, what be interesting is, are they going to be trying to win an MLR championship, a shield, right? Or are they just trying to mix and match and get players playing time? So that'll be an interesting thing to figure out. And look, if you're a top domestic talent and you have an opportunity to go play overseas in like a top 14, you obviously take that, right? Because it's the top 14's the best, the best, one of the best leagues in the world. So David, I know he's always going to play over there, and he's going to get more money, but he has an opportunity to come back and play with the men's Eagles for camps. That's great.
Right.
What I'm most excited about for this Hawks program, we always talk about how it's hard to develop certain positions, right? Front row prop. Yeah, go overseas and learn the dark arts of the scrum wherever you can play the best competition. The other position in my mind is that fly half, right? That great American fly half. And yes, we've got AJ McGinty, and he'll probably be there in 27, right? You got Luke Hardy there. But after that, 31, who is going to be the men's Eagles fly half, right? And there's a number of young players. Can the Hawks program get some of these young American fly halves that are coming out of the domestic programs, that are coming out of college, that maybe are on some MLR clubs but aren't getting minutes? Can they then play for the Hawks and get a ton of experience? So I'm talking about guys like Mike Ware, who's Old Glory DC drafted 2 years ago, who did get 40 minutes of game time against Houston last year, but hasn't seen the field very much. A guy like Max Schumacher, who Houston drafted out of Cal, who's probably going to maybe play fullback, right? So I don't know if he's going to the Hawks, right? He wasn't on that list. Maybe Houston retained him, but players like that and other players in the next 4 to 5 years that are coming out of high school and college, they need game time, right? Can this Hawks program give them that valuable game time? Because I think there's be such a great story of a American-born player coming out of high school and college and then going into the men's eagle. Like, I love AJ McGinty. He's fantastic, right? And he became U.S. eligible and fantastic. We're going to need more of those players. But for the U.S. to get really good, to develop these homegrown talents, I'd love to see a more American-born fly half, right, coming out of high school and college, MLR going to the men's eagle. Like, I think there's such a cool story arc and a path for future players to say, hey, look, there is a way. So
yeah, and I'm wondering if capped players right now maybe would want to go play for that team eventually, because you look at the leagues and some teams are stacked with their international players. So when they get onto the international pitch, they're not new to each other. I think if that happens, that's not for years from now, but that could be something, you know.
Yeah.
The other thing about the team is coaching. You know, rumors, maybe Scott Lawrence, whatever. I personally don't see that, just because I don't know. He's an Atlanta guy. He's not going to be. I mean, maybe he will commute from Atlanta, but it's not a short trip. It's a few hours, a couple hours. But I don't know. You know, it could be who was the Hawks coach this past year? Would it be the Hawks coach? You know.
Yeah.
So who knows who the coaching staff's going to be? I think they do, but looking at rugby at Rugby LA, I almost said Rugby Atlanta because close enough. We're starting to see notifications from them, starting to see updates as far as like, announcements of players. A lot of the older players from Atlanta are joining the team, so that's good to see there. Have we heard about any other bigger names that really have stood out? You know, and when I'm talking about other players, I'm talking about players like Niles Saunders. Obviously has some great experience overseas, been in the league here a bit too. You know, Jason Dam from Atlanta, Hollinshead, sorry, a fly half from New Zealand. Nice to get him in there. Emery from New York, that's a great signing, I think. And of course, Andrew Coe is a great signing as well for this team. So, you know, other than that, I mean, are they signing the players that are going to make them competitive this year?
Yeah, I think they've got, they did release their entire roster a couple of weeks ago, and I think I think they'll be a competitive team, right? I've talked on other podcasts about how
What? Wait, what? You're cheating on me?
Sorry, Bill. That the owners are seasoned operators, right? Like, they've run the Tel Aviv Heat, and they were in the finals of a Rugby Europe Super Cup or whatever that's called. I think I have that wrong, but the seasoned operators, like, they know what they're doing. They can put a roster together.
Yeah.
Will they storm out of the gate and make the playoffs? Probably. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
But I think they have a competitive roster, right? I don't think they're just going to get run all over the field. So I think their uniforms look good too, for what it's worth.
All right, so let's think about predictions for this next season of MLR.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? I think Free Jacks have reloaded. San Diego's definitely reloaded. So you look at the two teams that made it to the finals. Are they the favorites to get back?
I have I did a prediction at the end of 2023, and the year before I said that the New England Free Jacks would beat the San Diego Legion in the final, so I got that one right.
Oh, nice.
So tip the cap there to myself. Thank you very much. This year, I do think New England Free Jacks are the team to beat, and my prediction was based off of how it was going to be one conference and not split back into two, so that could change things, but whatever. I'm just going to leave it. It may not work now, because if they are splitting back to the conferences, I'll have to change this. But on December 31st, 2023, my prediction for 2024 MLR season was the San Diego Legion beating the Houston SaberCats. So
SaberCats.
Yeah, I think they're a strong team. They made the playoffs the year before. I think they've quietly added a few more pieces. People may be overlooking them. But now that we're going back to the conferences, San Diego, Houston, probably not going to work. So I'm going to have to figure that, if it's a rematch of San Diego, New England, great. But love to see what else could happen there. Seattle's strong club. They've retooled. Chicago had a heck of an off season. Maybe they're putting something together there. Old Glory's going to be in the mix. Utah's fun. It's going to be tough to see, but I would say coming out of the gate, you got to think New England and San Diego are the are in the pole position in each conference to get back.
And what about DC? They were right there. I mean, they were fighting to the end.
They have made some strong moves in the offseason. They got a new head
Yeah.
coach, Simon Cross, to kind of focus more on defense. They brought on a number of internationals, particularly in the back three, where I think they got exposed a little bit defensively and had some issues in the kick and chase in the aerial game. But they've brought in a couple of USA eligible players too. Alex Mueller, who is a Puma Sevens international, who I think is domestic qualified now. They brought in Damian Hoyland, a former Scotland international. Excited about that. They brought back Jason Robertson, their fly half, who a couple of years ago during the pandemic year when Old Glory stormed out of the gate, he was leading the MLR in points. So, reuniting with Danny Tusitala. So, there's some good things that are going to be happening there. I think they're going to be competitive. I think they've added more depth, which was key, but I mean, they're still chasing New England. So it's going to be tough for them.
Yeah, and quickly, let's talk about USA 15s this year. I think sevens, I think we both agree, Olympic year. I just think they're just getting ready for the Olympics. I don't think they're really going to be pushing too much to win circuits. I mean, they are obviously, but obviously the goal now is Olympics, and it's great to see them both in there. We can argue about who's going to be on the team, other than that, I think that's what we're all looking for, is how they will succeed in that tournament. So near the end of the year, we'll do this again. We'll talk about how well they're going to do in the Olympics.
Yeah.
But looking at 15s, let's look at 15s men. Predictions for me is Scott Lawrence takes that interim tag away.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it changes anything. I think he's been going at it as a full-time coach the whole time, as the head coach. And we're looking at 13, 14 matches where I have heard Scotland is one of them so far. And then, of course, we have the matches in the Pacific Rim. Do you think we have a chance of having a winning record at the end of 24?
I think you can't control the outcome. You can only control the process, right? So if they can continue to build off of the success at the end of 2023, and if they can be at 500 or have a winning record, that's fantastic. They're going to have some really big matches coming up. You mentioned Scotland in July. I'm hearing it might be in the DC area. I don't know. That'd be really cool. But yeah, if you talk about the Pacific Nations Cup, right? I think they're going to at least play Canada, once or twice. And I think I got to remember who they're matching up with, but I think maybe Japan or Tonga. That Japan's going to be tough. Tonga is going to be difficult. And then there'll be some other matches in between. I know we measure ourselves on wins and losses, but I just want to see, continual improvement. We don't need to be razor sharp in 2024, but as we start to get into the Rugby World Cup qualifying cycle for 27, I'd rather see those results then, as opposed to, but it's all part of a process. So I skimped out on answering your question.
It's all good. I'm with you. I think we all think the same thing. I think once we hear or see the exact schedule, we'll know a little more and see who's available. As we know now, AJ McGinty is actually back in the mix, and this was, he's healthy again. The Bristol Bears posted this for him online before that match the other day, and he immediately looked young. I don't know if you watched that match, the Bears last week, but he was fast. He was quick. He was clearing out rucks. He was setting up some good passes, and this video is stuttering, but it's my fault. But you get the idea. I think him back in the mix, healthy, will be great, and it'll help out this team. And of course, we can get Anu and others from overseas as well. It's not as many anymore, as James Dealey has pointed out a couple of times to me. I'm running out of players to cover overseas. So
no, there's so many women's Eagles in the Premiership women's.
There are. And speaking of women's Eagles, I don't know. I'd like to hear more about their program, about matches coming up, other than the WXV. We are working on getting Sion Fukafuka as a guest very soon. USA Rugby is in communication with him about coming on. Just needing to make sure he has enough to talk about, other than what he's done in the past. What he knows about the landscape and all that.
Yeah.
Interesting point, interesting tangent. Dan Lyle was on a pod overseas not long ago, and he did talk about there was a deal for the Lions to come through the United States to play either USA or Barbarians, like North American Barbarians team. And I think World Rugby nixed that. But there was a deal set, it sounded like.
In Vegas, right?
In Vegas. Yeah, and I would have been good with it, actually. either way, I mean, I think a North American Barbarians team would be fun.
Yeah.
And that's the only way I think that it ends up being some of a competitive match. Not winning, but competitive. Okay, jumping forward, we got a few more minutes here. Let's talk about USA or US Rugby Happy Hour. Let's talk about our show for a second, okay? It's not the new Netflix series coming out on Six Nations. It's better. Less production involved, less money needed. But this is us. So we have our wish list, and if you are have been watching the show at all, that season 4 is coming up. We have 3 seasons before us. We moved from Clubhouse to Twitter Spaces. I don't know what else, but I think we did smoke signals once. We've done all kinds of stuff. But as you're all knowing now, we are on live stream video, Instagram Live, Facebook Live, YouTube Live. We can go other places. But we're working that out now, and we'll have everything lined up or working perfectly by midway through our season. But also, before I get into that, I just want you all to see now, we also have a couple newsletters. John has one also we'll talk about in a second. Eagles Overseas has one talking about the podcast. And in one of the newsletters, you'll see a list of which Eagles are playing over the weekend or who's selected. You'll see here also Nafi Maafu's in there playing today, actually. And then there's also notes on there how you can watch the games as well. And you get that also on the Rugby Morning newsletter, so check that out too. You'll see David Anu'u is actually reserved for Toulouse in the Champion Cup match coming up. Kate Zachary actually is not playing. I forgot to remove that. She is not selected for this match coming up, getting a nice break. And AJ's back also. I got the Bears winning by 5, although people think the Bulls will win. And you'll see a bunch of other USA Eagles playing there as well. So check that out. I'm going to jump in real quick. I did mention websites, so I'm going to show this real fast. This is the Eagles Overseas website. If you had a chance, make sure you click on those banners over there so you can get me like 3 or 4 cents every time you click on it. On there, you can see all kinds of stuff. You can look at player profiles, schedules. There's news in there, mostly stuff about the podcast, and every so often stuff about Eagles by the numbers. Every week, stuff comes out about the Eagles, how many minutes they played, try scored, etc. You'll see a little Rugby Morning post in there or logo. But a lot going on that website. And then also we have this other one. I mean, I don't really care much about this one, but tell me about your website, Fitzy.
Yeah. This is just, a place where you can sign up to receive the newsletter that comes out Monday through Friday. I just have it up online, so it's easy for people to sign up. But, I put, all of the different podcasts up there, a similar schedule that you have as well. And then I just link out to each day's daily newsletter. And it's really just a way for folks who, you miss stuff on social, and the email is an easy, quick read, 2 or 3 minutes to feel like you're up to speed on everything that's going on in rugby.
All right, in 2 minutes or less, let's do this real quick. I want to talk about this.
Yeah.
MLR jerseys are out. I tell you, there's some interesting ones in there. Let's go. Let's pick your 2 favorite. Go ahead.
Yeah. I'm gonna do a few. I really do like Old Glory DC's away jersey, that all red. The detail with the Lincoln Memorial on the jersey, I think that looks really clean. If you go back to the one that shows all of them, I do like the Dallas Stars home jersey. I like that big bold star. Yes, I know that looks like the Dallas Stars. The 1999, the Dallas Stars won the Stanley Cup, so maybe that'll be good things for Dallas. New England's, it's not on here, but they're alternate where it's all white. So clean. Love that.
Yeah.
I also like Chicago's home jersey. That just looks really, really, really nice. The one with the stripes. I mean, across the board, I don't think there was anyone where they're like, oh, that's ugly or terrible. Miami, they leaned into the Miami Vice vibe.
Colors,
so I love that. I wish their home shorts were pink. But across the board, solid look. Good job, Kappa.
Yeah, I'm with you too. I really enjoy the Chicago uniform. I could see myself buying one of those. I do like the stripes, despite them making me look fat. Stars kind of like I like it. I think it's getting too much, and same thing with I like San Diego, whatever. It's just I don't know. Some of these jerseys are just too much for me. Seattle, I get lost with that one.
I do like Mount Rainier. I
like the RCLA. I'm telling you, I think it's simple.
Pretty good.
yeah, despite what people say about the logo, I think that the look is nice. And you're right, the DC, oh, it's sharp. That red, that
Yeah,
dark
it's good.
blue, it's really sharp. I do not like. I'm okay with Miami. I get it. It's not, I mean, what are the colors going to do? NOLA same way, but I'm just, I don't know, getting kind of tired of the the purple, golds, and greens. It's just like I get it. It's their colors. Obviously, you're going to want to have those in there, but not my thing. But yeah, obviously, I'm a fan of the Free Jacks jersey and Chicago. I think those are two of my favorite ones. So yeah, there you have it, everybody. This has been the first soft launch of this most amazing show, the Six Nations Week. Oh, I'm sorry, no, not Six Nations. All the other things. So anyway, do us a favor, check out, check us out online, social media, Eagles Overseas, Rugby Morning. You can visit our website, sign up for the newsletters, and get news on USA Rugby, MLR news, and much more. Fitzy, anything else you want to say?
No, this is great. I love the production value. I'm looking forward to all the different episodes in 2024. Let's top last year.
All right. We'll check it out, and we'll see you guys all later. Good night, good day, or whatever it is.